call the meeting to order. Scott, if you could do a roll call, please.
Yes, sir. In attendance, we have Richard Body, Roland Mayhew, Jane LaRoche, Michael Dellavecchia, Michael Foote,
Here.
Marcia Hayward,
Here.
and I'm the zoning technician, Scott Pelchat, also the recording secretary for the evening.
Wow. Thank you for being here, representing the paid employees. We all got to review the meeting minutes from the last meeting. Motion to accept.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Pay attention, Roland.
He's like,
He's tired.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah, I'm going
extensions?
down.
No extensions, you do have the tabled application for Keezer Court from last month. You can either leave it tabled, or you can untable it and deny it. I've already spoken to the applicant.
was he gonna amend it?
He's not coming out tonight. He, as he mentioned to me in the email, will be traveling to city council for further clarifications on our ordinance, which he has the right to do.
I'll seek a motion to table that.
No,
No.
you have to untable it, and then we deny it.
yes.
We're going to deny it as written.
Well, I would,
Okay,
but.
You do have that
I'll
option.
second it.
Yeah.
I was in favor of giving him another month to get his plan in order.
Well, I have given him that as well. So I gave him the understanding he
Um,
could travel back to us, do
in the
the
future.
variance application. You know, the city would then send it up to you again in the zoning, but in the guise of the variance over the special exception. So,
Should it be denied without prejudice?
I would, again, I will take the heat on that as an error I made.
I don't know how.
Zoning
I
level.
tried.
So the mistake would be classified as mine given the wrong application. So it would be without bias.
Very good.
So if you denied it without prejudice, then it would come forward again.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll seek a motion to that matter.
I make a motion that we deny without prejudice the application ZO 2024-0062, 24 Keezer Court.
Thank you, Marcia.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jane. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
These are courts first.
Yeah. Can I make a suggestion? Roland's having trouble with his hearing aids tonight, and so I'm just gonna make a suggestion that I'll step in as a voting member
He's
tonight.
gonna vote.
Yeah.
Very
Is that-
good.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you wanna fiddle with him a little bit?
You would have to
Do you wanna
name
fiddle
him
with
as
him a little bit?
He's gonna vote, you would
Yeah.
have to appoint him as a voting member
Yeah,
as well, which you could do.
Richard Biller?
Bodie?
Bodie. I'm sorry, Richard.
It's okay, I'm only partially offended.
Yeah. Will be a voting member because of Roland's, we could say, I don't know how to say incapacity, but,
Technical
abilities.
difficulties.
thank you.
IT problems.
Very good.
Does that mean we need to take the vote again, or do you have it?
It was a
I've-
positive
I've got
vote.
it because you made the motion, Jane seconded it.
Okay,
Did we vote?
did we vote?
No?
Yeah, we did.
We did.
All in favor,
All in
say
favor?
aye. Roland.
Okay, 'cause
Four, and
that's
there
right.
there were
So-
4, and there was one abstention.
Four
Abstention.
with one abstention.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Very good.
Good catch, thank you.
Okay.
Keeping me on my toes.
Next on the agenda is 9 Mulligan Court. I believe that's the South Down Shores condominium. Are they here tonight? Please come up. Tell us how we can help you.
Hi, my name is Andrea Cunningham, and as mentioned, I am owner of 9 Mulligan Court. It is not my primary residence, so I am requesting to have the short-term rental.
And your condo association is okay with that?
The South Down Shore Condo Association, specifically the Golf Village, is now open to short-term rentals, as long as it is approved by the city of Laconia, first having to go through the zoning board.
So I'm all in favor of short-term rentals, if done responsibly. Your neighbors would be approving everything?
I believe so. Letters
They've
went
been
out to 10
properly
abutters.
notified? Yeah.
Huh?
they're
Yes,
up.
currently, I believe there's 3 to 4 active rentals
Yep.
in her village now. I believe this would make the 5th, and I have not heard of any clamoring by the rest of the association to come out to say otherwise. So I feel their association has done a good job notifying the other members to say, hey, this is now an allowed use.
Very good.
May I ask, staff, if this is RS, and I'm sorry, I just don't have it in my head right now, what is that zone?
Residential, single family.
And yet within certain, associations in Southdown, they're more open to it?
Yes, we have other areas of the city, residential, single family, where the association is not open to it. The member could still get the permit, but they would not be allowed to use it at their association if the association says no. But Golf Village, again, we're about 5 to the good now.
Well,
Very good. Any other comments, Andrea?
Kind of to answer your question, we do have to provide a week ahead of time approval to the HOA within the Golf Village to let them know the renter's name, their license plate, and they have the information in case of any incidents. The HOA is aware.
And I do have one more question, because I hear this through some of these applications. Is there, if you're not here and it's not your primary residence, is there someone who is responsible for responding to any needs of the renters?
Yeah, typically I'm the responsible party, maintaining the residence. I also have cleaners that are on site in Laconia that are able to answer anything for me if the need is urgent.
And Scott, this application, it still has to be owner occupied, not less than 150 days, because we haven't changed the ordinance yet.
With this one, if she gets the special exception, then no, that's why they need the special exception if it's not gonna be owner occupied. If she could prove
Requirements
that
are different.
that's her primary and that she's there for more than 150, she could just skip right to the permit phase.
The requirements are just different.
Okay,
This is just to allow for the use if that first thing is not met, which is the owner occupied.
thank you.
Very good explanation, Scott. Thank you. Any other questions for Andrea?
Behind you.
I'll ask you to have a seat, please, Ms. Cunningham. Are there any neighbors or other residents, any residents of Laconia could speak for this application? Please come up and address the board.
Which application are we talking about?
I guess nobody wants to talk about it. Alrighty, discussion amongst the board. I'm okay with it.
Scott, could you just for our hearing,
Yes.
because Marcia brought it up, could you, for the special exception, could you just read for us the requirements, because they are different. They're different than if it was owner occupied to the half a year.
I thought it was page 134.
Okay, so you want the ordinance, not the criterion
No,
on the back of the special exception?
No, not the special exception, but the criteria for what they're asking for, which is a STL with a non-owner occupied building. Only because Marcia said it, and I think
Yep.
that it would be
No,
helpful us all
definitely.
to have the clarity of that.
The only thing I was looking at on page 134 is you're going to give a special exception.
Mhm.
It says, for all other special exceptions, the following is to be met.
Yep.
And I would think that that list that is there would apply.
Yes, so
No,
that-
wait, I'm sorry, because this is short-term.
Exactly.
Short-term, it is on a different page.
And the other point that I
Oh,
wanted
it's
to
still
make,
on page 134,
It
but
is,
just at
yeah.
the top of
Sure,
134.
sure, sure. And then the other thing I wanted to say, like the comment that you had made about, is there a responsible person local? I don't think that that's in zoning, so that wouldn't be something that we could enforce either way.
Because those are the discussions
Oh, for sure, yeah.
that we've had to answer on other places.
right on.
is That
So,
there
Scott,
is
there was just-
someone that will respond, or just that.
Well,
Yep.
she could be in Florida and still respond.
Yeah.
Right. So Scott, there were, my memory, I don't have my zoning board.
Yep, there's 2 criteria, and
Yep.
then we'll go into so short-term lodging is in an owner-occupied property is considered an allowed accessory use. That's if it's owner-occupied, which it is not. So now we skip down to
Yep.
permitted in the residential single-family zones in a seasonal dwelling for unit for a maximum of 15 separate rentals or 120 nights, whichever occurs first in the dwelling. But it, short-term rents, so it doesn't say it there, but it is back on our table.
But it's still, the criteria, I still think is on page 134 at the top.
Hold on.
That's where it deals with city services.
This says,
Oh, okay,
Parking.
so mine is the
This
next
is-
one
this-
down.
I don't
So
know.
that has, let's just make sure we're looking at the same.
the use is specified in this chapter, which it is. The requested use will not increase demand on municipal services. This is what I'm seeing for short-term, right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 criteria.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then the one that we used is this newer
Is
one
this
after
one
you
here.
had said that with
Yep.
the two-part question at the end.
We use this one here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because you had identified the other special exception was inept for the short-term logic.
So I'm still looking at page 134, and you have 5 criteria that have to be met. The first one is the use specified? Yes, it is. Number 2, the request will not increase demand for municipal services. I don't see that it will.
Absolutely.
Any special provisions?
No?
We don't need to put any special provisions on. The request will not create hazards to the health, safety, or general welfare of the public?
I don't believe so.
I don't believe so. And then number 5 would be, the applicant has to, in granting the special exception for this property includes a benefit to the community, and we've talked about renting as terms of increasing housing for the city of Laconia, and that it would meet number 5 for that purpose.
I think that number 5 is more of a benefit to the city by bringing
Yes,
Yeah.
Yep, I go
Tourists.
there, because you're not
Yep.
really
Place for
staying there
tourists to
forever.
stay.
yeah.
And I'm all for it. No problems with me. There's no neighbors to respond, so I will seek a motion to accept.
I make a motion to accept, that's where
I second.
Thank you, Richard.
And-
Marcia, any other discussion?
And your findings of fact
my findings
are
of fact
as
are exactly what she just said.
Marcia
Yep.
stated,
And- yep.
Yeah.
all right.
Thank you,
All in
Marcia.
favor? Opposed? Nobody? Unanimous. Good luck, Ms. Cunningham. Do it responsibly, please. Next, we have 76 Merrimack Street to allow the construction of an accessory dwelling unit. Are we here tonight? Yes, sir.
Randy Bullowell, 76 Merrimack Street.
Boulevard?
Bullowell.
Bullerwell.
Thank you. Randy, go ahead. Tell us what your plan is.
So we have a duplex. When we bought it, it was a duplex, and we had it removed from that status because we didn't think we were going to rent it. But we've decided now to rent it. So we'd like to have that changed back to duplex status.
So the ADU is in the existing building?
Yes.
No change to the building? Just
Fl-
going back to having 2 instead of 1?
Nope.
3?
Just
What is it?
But wait a minute, are we gonna call this a duplex, Scott, or are we gonna call it an ADU?
The application
Is
was
for-
presented to planning as an ADU.
Okay,
okay.
okay. Now, I just, it's specific in terms of criteria, that's the only reason,
Yeah.
Randy.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
we live there. We'll be
Yeah.
renting out upstairs.
Okay.
And the apartment matches the ratio, Scott?
It will have to, because if it does not, then the building code side would, actually, planning would be forced to deny the building code permit. So if we find the square footage is off for the ordinance, we would have to reach back out to the Bullwells to say, hey, we know you wanna do an ADU, but currently your value is, well, 3 square feet over the allowed or 3 square feet under, they would still have to meet those values encompassed in that ordinance. And at that point, they would have planning and building having eyes on that permit application.
So, if it was a single-family building and you're gonna be building a detached ADU, it would have to match a certain ratio to size of the primary residence. As we go back here, and it could be a mirror building, as, you know, they used to do, and I don't know the full layout of it. So one section's bigger, one section's smaller, and that's the ratio within it that has to be met. And what is that, Scott?
750
750
square
square
feet.
feet.
Didn't we just increase it to 1,000?
Not yet, has not been approved yet.
Hasn't gone
That's
through.
coming up.
All right.
That's the other thing, if you wanted
Randy,
it
let me
bigger,
just
you
ask
could
you a
hold
question.
off.
I got a little bit of confusion.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna build another building behind the house.
Me too.
No.
You're gonna
No, this
just
is
convert.
existing. When we bought the house, it was that way.
Convert
We
it
just,
back.
we had
Okay.
decided not to use it as an apartment.
Very good, very good.
And can I ask, staff, our difference between a duplex and an ADU?
Yeah.
Yeah, a duplex is we'll say, for the first part of this, a form of housing that encapsulates 2 units. In the city of Laconia's eyes, the duplex could be rented to a non-family member, could be rented short-term if in the right zone, where the ADU cannot be rented short-term, can be rented long-term, but the owner of the property has to live in one or the other.
With an ADU,
Yeah.
right.
And you could possibly sell half of the duplex.
Not a
No.
duplex if it's an
can't.
ADU.
Right.
No,
Versus
Yeah.
an ADU.
Yep.
versus an ADU, yep.
So ADU is more beneficial to the city, if you look at it that way.
Depending on the needs of the property owner too. First and foremost, they would need to define what best suits their long-term uses, whether it's duplex, whether it's ADU. And usually we have that conversation, when they come in, what form is gonna best fit you over the long term? Because ADUs do not count against density,
Right.
so you would still have your single-family home where if you have a duplex, now you have 2 units of.
Very good.
Yeah,
Very good, Scott. Good
Yeah.
explanation.
thanks.
Randy, so I'm assuming you're not gonna change the outside of the building, you're just gonna like open up a new stairway and
It's already, it's all
is it
there.
an upstairs
Yeah.
apartment? Is
Yeah.
that,
It-
Open the door, is gonna open the door.
very good. Any other questions from the board?
I'm familiar with this property. This is one of the first, when I moved to Laconia, I lived in the adjacent property on the same side of the street.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Randy, you can have a seat, please. I have to ask if there's any members of the public that would like to speak for or against the application to come on up. Oh my goodness, there are no takers. We have so many people here.
You'll get it.
I know, who are these people?
They will come.
Discussion amongst the board.
I find no issues with this at all.
No, it's good for the city. It
Yeah.
opens another apartment.
It's going back to what it once was,
Very
Yep.
good.
in a way.
I could give findings of fact that it would be beneficial to the housing market, beneficial to the neighborhood with another unit available. There's enough parking, Scott. I have one question.
You only have to have one parking.
One spot for
one
ADU.
spot for an ADU,
And planning will pick up on that either way.
yeah.
Very good.
Yes,
to you.
actually, to answer your question on that, Mike, I believe there would be maybe 2 spots to the good.
I
If
saw
this
that
is still
area.
functioning as a garage, then definitely.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All righty. I'm in favor of it. I would like to get a motion to accept.
I make a motion, we accept special exception ZB 2025-002 for the allowance of an ADU. The use requested is authorized. The requested use will not create undue traffic or impact safety. The requested use will not overload city systems. The requested use will not create excessive demand for municipal resources. It is set, this special exception is set forth in this chapter. The requested use will not create hazard to the health, safety, or general welfare of the public. The proposed location is appropriate. The requested use is consistent with the spirit, intent of zoning. I am complete.
Excellent, Richard, thank you. We have a motion, second, anybody?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jane. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Good luck, Randy. Thank you for coming in to see us. Next up is 75 Tower Street. He's seeking to allow 4 units where only 1.5 are allowed.
Is it 4 or is it 6?
That's what
Four.
Depends. He
Was
has
hoping
I
for
mean, that's
6,
kind
but
of a wide shot there,
Where do we have 6?
right here.
on the application.
Oh,
So
I
I'd
think
like
read
that
the
to be
fine print.
Yeah, it's,
more defined, what we're dealing with.
you're Ronald?
I am.
How do you do, sir?
I'm good. How are
Tell
you?
us what you want to do here.
I want to knock down the existing structure and build 2 duplexes. They'll be on the street side of each, so you have the Tower Street and then, I forget the name of the other street, I think it's Doe Street on the other side.
Yep.
Leave the green space in the middle, and basically that's it.
Will they give you a driveway permit for Doe Ave?
I haven't applied yet. I figured I'd take the first hurdle would be here.
Do you have any specifications on your 2 duplexes? I mean,
Size.
yeah,
They're gonna be,
size.
they're gonna be roughly about 30 by 50 total each structure.
Each structure's
Yep.
30 by 50?
1,500 square feet each.
And that would be split in half to make a duplex, so it would be 750 each.
No.
Correct. Each unit would be 750 square feet base model. on
Okay,
the
so
floor.
you want 2 duplexes. One duplex is 1,500, the other duplex is 1,500. But
Correct.
within the duplex, they're 750.
Correct.
Got it, okay.
So that's
all right.
4, so not 6, so I wanna go right back to, were we talking to 6 or 4?
it's
4.
Cause that's a detail, if it's
Yep.
4 units, then at least I can know what we're,
So
And
4
then-
residential units at about 750
50,
square
which
feet
is-
each.
not unreasonable within the,
And it is the Weirs
easy,
rental district.
easy.
It's crowded up there.
it sure is. It's a small, it's less than a quarter acre.
What's the name of the back street off of
I'm
Tower?
looking, I'm looking right now.
Dole?
Doe,
Doe,
D-O-E.
How come I don't know that name? It doesn't come all the way down?
It does, it goes all the way down, it parallels Tower.
Okay.
All right, from the Witch's Brewery down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't know the name of that road.
Yeah, it's because of the witch's brew.
All right, let's,
Have you calculated this all out? Because especially with your driveways, you're aware that your driveways are going to be, you're gonna need 320 square feet per spot?
Yes.
And,
I was gonna do pervious asphalt or pervious pavers
All right.
to accommodate the green space.
all city services, water and sewers there, so.
Yep, water sewer.
Scott,
Is this, I'm sorry.
go ahead, Mike, I'll ask Scott after.
Being as we don't have a layout for the buildings.
Yep.
Like any, dimensions, this will still have to conform to all green space when
So-
it gets to planning.
Yep, so currently what would happen, say if you did the approval tonight, you would then probably seek the demo permit to knock down what is there existing. And then at that point, he'd kind of be starting from scratch. because then you would have
Oh,
an
you're
empty
kidding
lot
me.
void of any structure.
Pen just went
Now,
away.
we're manipulating it, we would have to use all current zoning requirements. If he's gonna do a multi.
Because you're starting from an empty lot and you're not replacing a singular building
Right.
on the same footprint.
He would still have to go to planning eventually to do a, site plan, for the planning, or, multifamily site plan. But that's, you know, in the sequential format of all of this.
My biggest concern is parking and green space.
Yeah.
So
with the
parking, he's
construction.
gonna need 6 spots total, 1.5
Five for each unit.
1.5 per each, so that's 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, 6 total spots. And if he has a garage on one side that could accommodate 2, a parking lot on the other side, same duplex, he's got his 3.
You don't have it.
Well, I mean, if you have a 2-car garage and an open parking lot on each side,
You got it.
technically you could put 3 cars there.
Yeah.
But I mean, if
2 cars and a
you're
bike.
seeing something different, then,
Well, I was just looking at the square footage for a car
yeah.
and doing
Could we,
it that way.
could we finish with him in the public so that we
Yeah.
can all have this discussion together?
Yeah.
Because I think all of us have some input.
Are there
into
other
this.
questions,
Right.
Ronald?
I just have one. What's the square footage of the existing house?
The existing house is roughly 1,400 square feet.
Okay, I'm complete.
The documents show that it's 1827, if you look on the document that was submitted. Okay. Can I ask you, where is it you plan to park the cars for these?
So I've been talking with the designer, the engineer. There'll be 1-car garage and 1 parking spot outside of each unit. So it'll be a total of 2 each. So it'll be a total of 4 inside because of the garages and 4 outside.
So is this garage part of the square footage of the duplex?
Correct. Because if I'm not mistaken, the zoning law is 35 feet high. So each unit would be 750 a level. So it'll be somewhere in the ballpark of, minus the garage, living space would be about 1,700 square feet.
So your plan is to have like level parking with the building, living area above?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Very good. Any other questions from Roland right now? Ronald, I'm sorry,
Oh, not a problem.
we have a Roland here too. Have a seat, Ronald, and I'll have to.
Roland.
Roland,
One.
just kidding.
I'll have to ask if there's any neighbors or other residents that would like to come up and speak about this matter. Just one at a time, please. Hello, sir.
Hi, my name's Andrew Baker. I reside at 38 Doe Avenue. My wife and myself own that property. 38 Doe Avenue is not an abutter, but I'm probably the closest house and the one with the most to lose by this construction that's being proposed. We have a unique view at that place that looks past the existing house and over the cottages in front. And from our house, we can see the Mount Washington, where it docks, the full view of it. We can see the train, full view of a car at a time at least, maybe 2 cars. We can see people on the boardwalk. If this second building is allowed to be constructed, we lose all that view. And it's not just enjoyed by me, but there's people that walk down Doe Avenue and up Tower or the other way around consistently. I mean, they're there every day. And almost every day I hear someone say, right at our driveway, look at this nice view. So a lot of people enjoy it from around the area, besides us,
It is
As well-
tremendous.
as well as the other abutters in the area. And I guess the most important problem with the loss of the view is the loss of value. I mean, my property would be a lot less value than it is with the view, as well, and that applies to the other abutters too, I'm sure.
Uh-huh.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mike,
You know
Mr.
I'm
Baker.
gonna do it. Have you paid any consideration for this view, or do anybody else who enjoys that view, have they paid consideration for it, or do they have any document that protects their view, including you?
Well, I pay taxes.
Doesn't include the view.
You don't have a tax view,
We
a
don't have
view,
a
a
view
view
tax.
tax,
Yeah,
a
we
view
don't.
tax.
No.
And
No,
so
but
in it.
we
in-
had,
in-
we bought the house because of the view. That's why we bought it.
And so in this, as Ward One grows and we increase our density, these things are gonna happen. So I know of a multiplicity of these which have come forward to us before, unless you have either paid the owner consideration to protect your view or have a covenant on it, then what the people do for their development is within their bounds.
I don't have anything special, but you're building condominiums just the other side of Tower Street that just went up. You're building condominiums constantly on the other side of Doe Avenue, which are going up all the time.
We
This
are a
little
growing
section-
community.
This
And that
little,
is the thing about it, is that there is such a desire for growth
I
that
understand that. But
this is what it is.
This little section between Doe and Tower is unique in that there's cottages and it looks like the old-time fishing villages. It's what people come to see from all over around the area. Probably people that live in these condos go for a walk around there and view that and
Sure.
like it. So I'm saying it's worth keeping.
All right.
And for those reasons, I oppose the increase in the use of this property.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Baker. Was there another lady?
I think that was his wife that was,
Any-
I don't know.
Come on up, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Brenda Brown, and I live at 25 Doe Ave. And my house has always been in the family, and he's not obstructing my view, per se. But my biggest beef is the way that he keeps the property now. When I sit on my porch, my table faces his property. And I think he's owned it for 2 years or going on 2 years. And it's just an eyesore, basically, is
So
my.
this is, and I'm gonna ask this question because I don't have anything here I can go look at and see a map right now. But if I imagine this on Tower Street, it is a building that has plywood in the windows? Am I far enough down?
Yeah, it's more the stacks of plywood outside the building and things that have been taken out of the building and just left there, and the grass.
Here's pictures of the
Oh, yeah. There are some pictures of the way the property's being
If you
kept.
give it right to us, we'll take it.
Oh, thanks. Who do I give these to?
Wow, that's good.
Walk across the floor or what?
Yeah, no.
I don't need one because I went there today.
Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So in this here, it seems that there could be improvements made. Yeah, no, this building.
Wanna see it, Mitch? Richard?
No.
I don't, I went there.
You went there?
I did.
So we're still receiving public comment, correct?
Yeah.
Just for clarity.
Have you seen this picture?
Actually,
Alright.
this looks better than the property.
Here's another photo.
Yeah, this is better. He's seen it, and I've seen it. I don't know if you wanna see it.
Okay, Brenda, anything else you would like to add?
Let's see, what will help the cause? I don't know if anyone else wants to speak, but, you know, it's nothing against him personally in the fact of what he wants to build, in my opinion. It's just, will he complete the task, and will he make it so that the neighborhood is as pretty as it always has been? Or is it just gonna always look like an eyesore, is basically what I'm asking.
Well, this is what he's trying to do tonight, is tear down that mess and put some new buildings up.
I know,
So-
I get that.
That's the reason for him being here, so.
Yeah, I mean, there was a beautiful house to begin with, and nothing, and it was just, you know, I mean, it wasn't bad looking. It was a nice looking house all the years that the people had
Bought
owned.
it.
I'm just saying what we have to look at, that's all.
understand,
And it's
Brenda.
all of us.
And I think Mr. Poria is attempting to change things there.
Okay, I hope so. That would be great.
Very good, ma'am.
All right, that's it for me.
Thank you for coming, Ms. Brown. Is there anybody else that would like to speak?
Yes,
Hello.
Nancy Williams.
Right.
Hi, I live on Tower Street.
I didn't get your name.
Nancy Williams. We live behind the property.
On Dow?
Yep.
Doe
No,
Doe.
on Tower Street.
Tower? Okay.
Yep. So I do want to reiterate that the issue with the property was, since he had bought it, it has been unkept. Squatters in there, the grass growing really high. We've been looking at trash out there. Numerous complaints have come up. So one of the concerns is, if he is gonna follow through, if he wasn't maintaining that, is he going to rebuild? And it wasn't in that shape when he bought it. And the other thing is, the view is a big deal on that street. If he builds up 2 stories, which is above the story and a half that it's zoned, it's not only a few people, it's a lot of people's views in that area. Property values are gonna be diminished, where he's saying it's gonna appreciate them, it's not. It's going to knock down ours if it's 2 stories along the whole lot. And that's the main thing, that he's talking about building a lot on .21 acres. That's less than a quarter of an acre.
Yeah.
For all that parking and for 4 units. The Doe Ave is narrow, and he's got like a 15-foot driveway. You start having 3 or 4 cars coming right in the middle, it's just increasing it. So it's a lot more to consider, having that much on .21 acres.
Very good, Nancy.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, the increased traffic coming in and out of there.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Yes, ma'am, please come up.
No, you go ahead. It's like, I just have a question. I just have a couple questions, not a comment.
I'm Allison Hildebrand at 85 Tower. I did not receive a notice about this. I'm in a butter. I am just above the property. I've been living there 26 years. That little house has always been immaculate. The former owners are heartbroken that it was sold to this man now. They're friends of mine. That's just an aside. Just above my house, there's usually a traffic jam because everyone stops there. The view is amazing. None of our properties take that view away. Laconia and Weirs Beach are famous for these views. My windows are open on Tower. I can hear the many walkers coming down the street. I know what they have in their coffee. I know what their kids' names are, just because they follow the path down and it's my house and my deck. The disaster, what I consider a disaster, the condominiums across the street are constantly getting negative comments from visitors, tourists. I hear them. They call it the Chicken Coop Club. It's a beautiful design. It belongs somewhere else, Jamaica, I don't know, somewhere. So they already think, I'm hearing things like, what is the city thinking? And it happens a lot. My friends hear it, anyway. So why would we do this again? This is not in the way, but it's a huge distraction. This would be silly. It would be dumb. You come over this ridge and you're gonna lose all of this. And the people that know it, that have been here, are gonna say, what were they thinking? The ones that are new are gonna say, why would anyone do that? That's number one. Number two, along with my neighbor, I had 2 years of nothing but a mess. I have plenty of photos. I had to call the city twice to get the grass cut last year and this year, simply because it was 4 feet high. The first year, there was, the house looked very nice when he first got it. He took care of it. He decided, to my knowledge, to rip the inside out and change the design. Then the winter came. Then somehow the pipes burst and the house was destroyed. The next season he came back, and until then, all spring, the grass. 1 week before the 100th anniversary of Motorcycle Week, 1 week before that, I'm on the phone with Bruce Cheney, the mayor. It went to Concord. We can't have this. We have antique motorcycle races on this hill on Tuesdays during Motorcycle Week. Main thoroughfare from Route 3 to the Weirs, up and down. Everyone sees this. I couldn't believe it went on so long. Even just maybe the police or the firemen coming up and down the street and not saying something to the city. Well, finally, because there was so much broken glass, giant dumpsters that were there for months, a toilet on the upper outside porch facing the lake. I have pictures. Sinks, appliances, 4-foot-high grass. Route 3, Weirs Beach, beautiful view. It went on for months. Okay. So thankfully, someone did something, Jeff in planning, and the grass got cut in time for the 100th anniversary. Everything else was still there, but eventually the dumpsters went away. There were some people there tinkering around. I kind of did a neighborhood watch. What's going on? Or who are you people? And they said, oh, we're redoing the whole inside. Okay. Go upstairs and take a look. We're just finishing in the kitchen. So this is the second redo. And then it stopped. So now since March or April, the grass is growing another 4 feet high. And this whole time, half of the house has been scraped. So it's half white and half gray. Motorcycle Week is coming. I called Jeff. Somehow, a few days later, now the grass is cut. For months, there's been a ladder inside the house, right out the front windows. So you're walking or driving. Of course, this house must be vacant. Oh, maybe I can crawl in the side window, which my neighbor Suzanne has witnessed a woman doing, and stay here. Are we going to have a fire? Is somebody going to be raped? This is Weirs Beach.
Will that happen?
This is
Okay,
totally obvious, right on the street for 2 years.
Alice, I get your point that it's a,
I'm sorry, I don't know the man, but I
Nuisance
don't
property
trust
in the
him.
neighborhood.
Yes. He takes no
but we have to have
responsibility.
a bit of a time limit.
Okay, but that's my main
I
point.
understand your point.
And I
but-
have an amazing view, and I would be heartbroken, and my value would go way down, and my house is for sale right now, actually. But Weirs Beach can't be treated this way.
Thank you for your point of view.
Thank you.
Next. Yes, sir.
I'm Barry Williams, and I'm on 81 Tower Street. And one of the concerns, I guess, I'll be brief, is just the added traffic Tower Hill gets all the traffic from the Weirs, plus we've got all the newer development up top now that all, I guess, supposed to come in and out, only out one way, but we've got added traffic there too. So if you add another 4 places, that's another 8 cars, although they could only fit 3, 6, whatever. But yeah, so I guess that is another concern that I guess that hasn't been brought up yet. But again, it's that 0.21 acre.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Are there any other residents that would like to speak? Nobody else? Ron, come on back. It sounds like it's been a nuisance property. Tell us the story real quickly.
All the abutters are right. The land right now is a disaster. I'm not sure if they've ever had to deal with an insurance company. It took me 14 months to battle with the insurance company.
From the flood.
And every time we do something, I have to wait for the adjuster to come back and look and approve more money. It's just been a disaster. My cousin Frank's here with me right now. He's part of the development process. My goal is to knock it down and make it the prettiest piece on Tower Street.
Come on.
Again, it's a process. I have to tell the insurance company everything we do. I can't just walk in there and...
You could clean the yard up, though, without...
We did. We got rid of the dumpsters. I had to get an okay for that. The insurance company has been absolutely brutal.
You're coming in here asking the city to do you a favor, let you build on it.
I agree.
But your neighbors already hate you because it's been a nuisance for 2 years.
Well-
You should have bent a little bit to befriend them.
I didn't know.
Clean the
I'll
property
be
up,
honest with you, I didn't know any of these
Cut the
people.
grass and pick up the trash is, I think, what they're asking.
So,
Okay, your plan for the duplexes, were they gonna be rental, short-term,
so the plan
It's
is,
by right. It's commercial
Yes.
resort. It's by right.
I just wanna know his plans.
so the plan is, I own a house on 75 Tranquility Turn as well, that me and my wife and the kids share. My cousin Frank, we're gonna build 2 duplexes. His mother's a snowbird, my parents are snowbirds. They're gonna live there during the summer months. He's gonna share his side of the duplex with his mother. I'm gonna share my side with my parents, and that's pretty much it.
Very good. Any other questions for Ron from the board?
So, okay, and I can't see it here on these papers. Can you kind of give me an idea of what the peak of the roof is right now?
It's got a double, so one peak is just like this, the other peak goes this
You got a
way.
height on it at all?
The existing height's probably somewhere around 28 feet, the top peak.
It is an ugly building. All right. I have a question for staff.
Wait,
Will-
can we wait till we have
Yep.
conversation
Yep,
with us?
yep.
Thank you, Richard.
You wanna close?
Any other questions for Ron right
Nope.
now?
No,
Ron, you can have a seat and
You have to close the public
Okay.
portion.
we'll close the public meeting.
7:19.
Thank you.
You go into deliberation.
Ma'am, did you want to speak?
Yes, I just need to.
You can't.
I liked your question about the height
Come
of
on
the
up.
buildings.
she's-
limit that you're setting on the buildings you intend to build?
The height limit for the CR zone in the Weirs is 35 feet for residential, and that's for all property owners unless they seek a variance.
So that's it,
35 feet is max height.
What is he asking?
35 feet. That's what
Currently,
he's
asking
permitted.
for a variance on density.
Okay,
It's not bad.
I have a question.
please.
As presented, and I'm still not seeing any real plans here with
No.
measurements,
Yeah.
right? And that would give me a better idea for this question.
It might.
Are we going to be able to meet green space and density on 0.25 acres? What is allowed there?
No way.
0.21 acres.
So
Even smaller.
currently, if he stays true, demos the existing structure, we're starting from scratch.
Right.
So his new green space, starting from scratch, if there's a driveway there, that would diminish from it. But that would bring him probably into the required zone. Then when he puts those buildings on, we would have to start retracting it from there. And he may have to come back to zoning for green space variance.
Yeah.
Tonight, he's seeking only a density
Density
variance
variance.
to go from what normally would be 1.5 on a lot that size to go up to 3, which would be congruent, or 4. So in that zone, if you have an acre, you could do 6 units. That's why the breakdown, if you're half an acre, you can do 3.
Mhm.
So he needs to get up to that 4 to meet his ask, which is the only thing on the table tonight.
Right,
Not
exactly.
height, not,
So we really can't get 4 with the amount of acreage.
I did-
not,
0.21.
not without a variance, no.
21.
That's why the variance is in play.
Okay.
But if you do give the variance, then on the restart,
Yeah.
2
Now-
buildings with a gap in between,
Yep.
so you can
Then
peek in
that's gonna
between it.
propel him to multifamily site plan through planning board and all those other
And it
activities.
has to, it won't become less compliant. We're not going to have to jump through hoop about a
I
porch
do
next
not
to it.
believe the planning board would allow for a non-compliant multifamily structure to go into fruition.
Otherwise, it's a Weirs, and we have condominiums that were built in the 1980s, condominiums that were built in the 2010s, condominiums that were built in the 2020s, a whole small village that was built in the early 2000s. We have Methodist Circle, which is 1800s. There's a history of density in the Weirs, and I think it's fairly disingenuous to deny that we have utilized the Weirs as a vacation and increased density place for many, many years.
So a couple things for me, relative to some of the public comment is, the woman who last spoke, her number is 85. She made a
Yep.
comment that she didn't receive, well, she's not in a butter.
Right.
And because of what it is that they're asking for, it's not a foot, a certain amount of feet around, so so she didn't receive one because she isn't. And also, I'm just saying that our job as a board, we have nothing to do with how a person keeps his property. If it's unsafe, police. If it's gonna be a fire, it's fire. We have no comments relative to the definition of beauty or whether it looks like. It's not in the purview of the board, of this board anyway. So basically, we're looking at density. So he's got enough for 1.5. If he takes it down, then through variance, he can get up to 6 with the 4. Is that what you're saying, Scott?
No, just,
No.
he's asking for the variance for 4 tonight.
Yeah, I get
which I
that.
believe that's his max
Right, right,
number
right.
he's looking for.
Understood, okay.
I think if he did search for 6, I don't know how accustomed this board would be to that high
Right,
value on
understood.
that
Fair
size
enough then.
lot.
So for me, so when I saw this application, I thought he was making two buildings, two 1,500 square feet buildings, split in half, so two 750s on both sides.
Correct.
Yep.
Single
right.
floor. So for my purview, I drove it. I'm in agreement with the public comment that all of the homes that are in that plane, they're all single family or they've got the half. And if you are building, so now I have clarity that it is going to be two buildings that are 30-foot by 50-foot by 33-foot.
We don't know those, we don't know that's 30 by 50.
No, that's what he said. He said he's gonna build two,
I just
30.
haven't,
He did.
yeah,
30
two
by 50.
buildings, 30-foot by 50-foot. And I thought they were gonna
That's
be
what he
one
said.
floor when I read this, although the application is certainly unclear and you didn't do a complete job in filling it out.
Right.
But, so for me, the density, I have a hard time making the jump from 1.5 to 4. And just, not just from public comment, but just, I just think 2 floors is just inappropriate for the road. So that's kind of my input. Yeah, I mean, if he could amend his thing to do, do the 2. I would be, I think that I would be a fan of going from the 1.5 to the 2, but I can't make the jump from the 1.5 to the 4.
I cannot go to 6, but I could see 4.
Well, maybe 4 on one plane on each road, not 2 floors. You have it.
If, it's difficult if you're going to
totally.
use your parking
Oh, for sure.
underneath,
Yeah.
which we have encouraged before
Yeah.
on other projects, cause it keeps
Yeah.
the vehicles in underneath.
Yeah, for sure. No,
But
it's
in
totally a
it,
thing.
it gives it the lift to get
Yep.
up, and then that's where you kinda need the,
Right. Well, there's
35 feet.
permeable driving, parking material. There's ways to probably be able to work around that. But,
and there are other 2-story buildings on that street.
no, for sure, they are 2, but they're not 35 feet
This
tall.
is, he's actually going 3 stories, a garage story and 2 stories.
No,
Where
no.
do you see that?
No, just one
He
unit
still
above
can't
each
exceed the
garage.
35 feet.
Right.
But
So
that would,
That's
you
the
could do
limit.
that in
That's
35.
2 floors and a roof system. That's right. So anyway, just give I can't go from the 1.5 to 4, and I think, just finding a fact, contrary to the public interest, I don't see a 2 floor of this magnitude being put back.
I'm going to agree with Rich, and just by doing some numbers, by looking at what he wants, 230 by 50, that's 3,000 square feet. He has on his lot, the lot size is 9,147 square feet. You subtract the 3,000, it gives him now 6,147 square feet. Take out the green space, he's left with 659 square feet. You start taking out the driveway, he's got 19 square feet left. No, four units, no,
Too much.
too much.
I do think that there probably are some creative ways to be able to do that, but again, I can't, for me, and the board may feel different about this, but I can't make the jump from 1.5 to 4.
But I'm going to swing right in here for the
Go for it.
Lakeview.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go down the street, Tower Hill, and that's going to be, is Lakeview 3 or 4 stories? It's got the nice porch,
Yeah.
looks out over its own cabins behind it, and that's been there for some time, and there's no denying
Yeah.
that that's more than 2 stories. I've been in the building.
I mean, your comment about we are a city, and specifically this area, it is going to be developed. It just is inevitable, and people just don't like change. That's hard. It's just hard, and I acknowledge that. And I'm in agreement with you on that point, for sure.
I mean, I think that if we start looking toward the future a little bit, a lot of the houses that are there now, that might be single stories,
Will be
will become 2 and 3 stories.
Will be taken down
I mean,
and
this
will
is
be
probably just the
replaced.
beginning of what's gonna be happening in the
Right.
future.
But that's
That's a great point,
height-wise.
Jane.
But what about the density
Yeah.
piece?
1.5 allowed on that size lot, going
And
to
going to
4,
4,
I think is
Is a lot.
asking for too much. Personally, I feel that way.
I'm kind of thinking that we deny the variance, and I think he's gotta do some more work. Like, I think that he's gotta talk to his neighbors and maybe, you know what I mean?
Well, if he wants to do it for his parents, he could build a duplex with an accessory dwelling unit in each one.
But it's 2 families. There's a brother,
Right.
right?
Well, yeah. But he could build a 2-family. can be done? Or could he, Scott, question, could he build 2 single-family on the home, on the property? 2 single-family?
You could build an ADU.
If he were to do 2 single families, he may need some kind of variance.
Right.
Because I think you can either do 1 family, 2 family,
Right. Again,
and then multifamily that way, but I'm not sure of the housing on the lot. I mean, it makes sense that it may be feasible, but
Okay.
Well, we've heard from the neighbors, we've heard from Ron.
I'm a pretty solid negative.
I'm looking for a motion.
I would deny, but I don't know how everybody else feels, but I'm a denier.
Doesn't matter, you make a motion to, then you find out when it's
Then
time
we
to
find
raise
out,
your
huh?
hand.
Well, no, because maybe somebody wants to make a different motion.
We could
Okay.
table that, take that when it comes up, if this one doesn't pass.
I make a motion to deny application ZB 2025-003, which is asking for a variance from Article 6, Section 235-33, which wants a density increase from 1.5 to 4. Would deny the variance based upon, the first criteria is that granting the variance would be contrary to the ordinance because the lot cannot accommodate 4 units when you look at the density, when only 1.2 is allowed, and it would also alter the character of the neighborhood. Question or criteria number 2, is it contrary to the purpose of the ordinance or the spirit of the ordinance? If you can't meet criteria number 1, you cannot meet criteria number 2, so therefore 2 is not met. Number 3, substantial justice. You have to have loss to the individual that is not outweighed by gain to the general public. For me, the gain to the individual, is personal, but to me, the general public is facing congestion with increased crowding. So I think that is something to be considered. Number 4, in terms of whether the property would increase or decrease in value, I don't think we have any specific data to indicate one way or the other. And also, number 5, I don't think it meets the hardship test because the property still can be reasonably used in strict conformance with the ordinance because he still can build a single unit or a unit with an ADU on it, and that would be a reasonable use. So I don't think it meets number 5, the hardship.
Thank you, Marcia, very well said. We have a motion.
Second.
Thank you, Richard. Any further discussion? Personally, I think the property needs to be improved, but Ron, I think you're just asking for a little too much tonight, so all in favor of the motion?
All in favor of denying.
Denying the
The
motion.
application.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Richard, for clarifying.
So we have 3
And
abstaining?
favor of denying
Yeah,
and
so,
not in favor?
To deny the denial.
I'm with Mr. Foot.
okay.
So it's 2 to 3.
No, it's 3. 1, 2, 3.
To 2.
Yeah.
Oh, to 2,
2
yeah,
with 1
yes, yeah.
abstention, yeah.
I'm sorry, Ron. Please try again.
Please try again.
Got 3 votes, didn't you?
Thank you.
Didn't you get
Okay.
3 votes?
Yes, he did.
To deny.
You got
Right.
3 votes to deny.
Denied.
Yes.
3 to 2 with 1
But
abstention.
4 is
No,
just
it's
too many
Who's
for
the
that
abstention?
property.
I was voting over it denied.
You know, he could
I
come
would-
back with
I-
a plan
I-
for a
I-
nice
I
duplex.
He's
would-
voting, he's,
I don't have a problem. It's just Mr. Foot and I didn't agree.
Denial, 2-4.
To deny.
3-2,
Yeah.
Roland didn't vote,
I,
abstention.
Okay,
I
all
said
right,
no
yeah.
to deny.
Yeah.
Right.
Excellent.
So did Mr. Foot.
Okay, on to the next one.
Next
Let's
one's
go.
an ADU, Lincoln
I think it'll be,
Street.
I thought it
yeah,
would be
this
nice
should
for
go
the
quick.
neighborhood.
Order in the court. I need that gavel there. Charlie has a nice gavel.
Folks, could you please move your discussion outside,
You
out
gotta serve
the,
on CIP, then you gotta put in
I
for it, and
did
then they'll
not
cut you some
deny it.
money for a
folks,
gavel.
if you need to discuss, if you could leave the room,
My
please,
reason
thank you.
for denying primarily was it's shut
Order,
the house.
please. Folks, next on the agenda is 65 Lincoln Street. He wants to construct an ADU accessory dwelling unit on his property. Are they here tonight?
Which one are we on now?
Evelyn,
This is,
65
number
Lincoln
13.
Street.
Lincoln Street. Hello.
Evelyn and Stephen Andrews.
I couldn't find Lincoln Street.
Oh, really?
Great. It's
It's right across from
It's a
Pearl.
split. Yeah, I
Academy,
ran out
Pearl.
of time. I didn't get to drive by it.
It's right, if you came from the courthouse, if you came from like Walgreens
It's
area,
right
to the left
not far from
at
Academy.
Superior, go down to the stop sign, go through the stop sign.
Okay.
It's like your third or second
not far
left,
from
third,
Vista.
second left. Cute little area
Not
though.
far from Vista's back way.
What are your plans, folks?
Point two one again.
So my father-in-law went in for rehab, which turned into permanent living. And my mother-in-law needs a place to stay. And our dining room is just not gonna make
She's
it.
Say
an
no
old
more.
66, as silly as it sounds, and she won't do stairs, and it's a lot.
She's never driven, she can't, really take, she can take care of herself, but not to the full extent. So she needs to be close by.
I understand.
So we'd like to take our existing garage and turn that into an apartment.
You have enough parking without the garage?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, we have a long driveway, and she doesn't drive again, so never has.
So we're gonna convert a garage into an accessory dwelling unit. And if they meet all the criteria, we cannot deny them. Am I correct?
That's correct.
As long as the criteria is met in the ordinance, I believe you are correct.
Yeah. Do we meet all the criteria?
Absolutely.
I do have
It's
a-
not gonna be too big, not
Nope,
too small?
It's
You're gonna
20
make
by
it nice?
20.
Yeah, from what I saw on the initial submittal there,
Yeah.
that really looks like it would meet muster when they submit it to the building code permit side. Again, that'll go under another review, once it's fully submitted down there, building code side looks at it, planning board side looks at it as well and say, okay, does it meet the ordinance, does it meet the intent of code?
The only question I have is, water and sewer, is it
I
coming
spoke
off
with
of
water
your
and
house?
sewer. Yes, it has to go to our house.
Okay.
And you're not going outside the existing envelope of the garage?
Nope, just taking the doors down and putting walls
Wall.
up.
Very good. Have a seat, folks. I have to ask if there's any neighbors or other residents that would like to speak for or against the application. Seeing that there's no takers, discussion amongst the board. If he meets everything, Scott, I'm all in favor of it.
Fine, fine.
Yes, again, from my take of what was submitted there and what's to be submitted further, and the knowledge of my colleagues down in planning and code, there should be no reason that the ordinance and the criteria spelled within
Very
is not
good.
met.
Any further discussion, folks? I'll ask for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve special exception 2025004 for the allowance of an ADU. The request is specified in the chapter. The request will not create undue traffic congestion. The requested use will not overload city systems. The requested use will not create excessive demand on municipal systems. I'm complete.
Thank you, Richard. I have a motion.
Second.
Thank you, Marcia. Any further discussion? I'm all in favor of it.
Right?
Unanimous. Thank you, folks. Good luck with your apartment, folks, and your mother-in-law.
Dad-in-law. He's a dad-in-law, but he identifies as a mom-in-law.
Alrighty. Moving right along. I have 15 Wink Road.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Oh, yeah. It's a good one.
How do you do, sir?
Good, how are you, sir?
Great.
My name's Jeffrey Trent. I'm looking to do a campground at 15 Wink Road. I would like it for personal use. So I did the 3 spots on the property map. I don't know if you guys have that.
Is it a friends and family campground? Does it
It-
come under friends and family
Yes.
under the state review?
I don't know about this.
We're just saying, because,
Family and friends, yes, is
yeah,
what it would be.
because I've looked at that, there's a few different levels of it, you know?
Oh.
And family and friends is one of maybe 3 different levels of it that I've seen before.
Oh. Yes. it's so ideally I can, so I can get over there and hopefully try to pull resident and have residency to build a house and install a septic system and turn the property into my my overall residence. Because I do not live there, I live in Belmont. And so I'm paying rent and, property, mortgage and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find a way to be able to be on my property.
So you own this property,
Yes,
and eventually you want to build a house on it,
yes.
but in order to get there, you have to be a campground.
Well, so the town of Laconia does not allow you to camp or to live in a camper. So to do that, I have to apply for campground. Because ideally, that's not what the end goal for the property is.
So you want to, okay, so this needs to be, so you can be on the property camping so that you can build your house.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Now, and I got friends and family campground. What is the building that's currently on it?
It's a garage. So I inherited this property from somebody. They passed away from cancer October 2nd of 2021. And so the garage, it's listed as a 3-bay car garage with a loft. That I know of, I really don't know any permits that were pulled for or anything. And that's why I've been strictly in the process of cleaning up the inside of that garage because it was full from front to back, left to right,
Yeah.
floor to ceiling. The same thing with the whole piece of property. There were, I think, 3 campers on there and a few cars, a boat. I've just tried to chip away the past 2.5 to going on 3 years. And I'm financially hitting where I can't do much more unless I can get over there. I
Stop
can't
paying rent.
Yes, I can't get help with a septic unless I can be able to say it's my residency. And I'm a disabled and retired veteran, so like I could apply for grants, but I have to be able to say it's my residency. And that's really what I'm trying to see.
Jeffrey, how much acreage is it there?
9.4, sir.
1.4.
9.4.
It's, I'm looking at it right now, it's 9.4.
Yes, sir.
Why can't you just build a house up there?
I don't have the money right now.
Oh,
That's why I can't, that's why I can't just install the septic also. I financially I cannot.
I figured it'd be a lot cheaper that
Eh,
way.
If I could, I would. That's why I'm just trying to figure a way to get there.
Is there any septic there now?
No, there is not.
How are you going to deal with extra campers in the gray water?
I would like to be able to try to figure out, to have it pumped out for the time being because there would be nobody else there except for myself until I had a septic and a residency.
So why the 2 other?
Because
And I'm trying to learn here. I'm listening to you.
I
I'm
believe
trying to-
the regulation says it's gotta be a minimum of 3 spots to be considered a campground.
But you can't go, and now I'm really asking, you can't go put in a camper out in the middle of 9 acres? And
Can I?
Really?
No, you cannot. I've been dealing with this for 2.5 years.
So now you got me on my heels, because I'm going, really?
Thank you.
Okay.
You can't fix up the loft and just move in there?
So I have to there's still not a septic.
There's still no
Right,
septic.
I understand.
And that,
You could have a holding tank like a camper would have.
so the state does not,
You can't allow that.
they do not allow holding
Hate when
tanks.
that happens. I hate.
That's why I'm asking for the camper, because the camper can be pumped out
Right.
and I can show receipts, because I want to do everything correct.
I understand. The only question, the only dilemma I have, Jeff, is I hate to make that property a commercial campground, just so you could live
Is
there
there
in
a
a
way to
camper
make
for a
it
while.
personal and not commercial?
Runs
Because
the gamut.
I more than agree with
Yeah,
that. And I know all my neighbors
Could put
agree.
that as
I
a condition
don't
on
want
your
that.
special exception. That this is a temporary campground until such time that the house is built.
And is there a length of time that is associated with it?
I mean, more is gonna have to come from Jeff's end when he gets into the campground, because again, he's gonna have to get the language from the state for the septic, and then also any other campground usage that the state would mandate in.
right. It just, oh,
What if you
God.
give him a deadline, like 10 years?
Well,
Fine.
let's,
5
well,
years.
let's have this conversation, but let's finish with him.
Most towns
Yeah.
give 1 year
Yeah.
while living in a camper while building. Sorry to interrupt.
But you might need more, wouldn't you? What
I-
do you think you'd need?
Hopefully a year or two, because, so I already have an approved septic design.
And you're gonna build it yourself?
So I can't build it myself because as of right now, and it's a pump system, and it's above, so it's gotta pump up the hill.
I see.
And any estimates that I've gotten for that is $25,000 to $30,000. That is why I like that, so this is.
Can't you do it vice versa, live up higher and let the sewage come down?
What,
So-
down towards Pickerel Pond?
Well,
So my
I
septic.
didn't mean all the way to the pond.
So my septic designer says that behind the garage turns to wetlands.
I see.
And so that,
Yeah, that's out.
but I am in the process of seeing if he'll come back next week because the property does look a lot different now and cleaned up, to see if there is a chance to maybe angle it towards Pickerel Pond, but I'll still be, it should be like 700 feet or yards away from the pond.
Right. I'm
But-
trying to help you here, Randy, or Jeffrey. I want to get you out of this dilemma and into your camper.
Thank you.
And I do believe that if you redesign that septic so it's gravity, you could build it yourself. You rent a machine, you bring some sand in.
No, you still need a septic
and
designer and
it's
you
a
need
long-
a stamp.
Well, yeah,
at
you
the
get
end.
a stamped engineer plan, it's $1,500. You rent a machine, you get some sand in there, and you put it together, and it's a far cry from $20,000.
Yes.
You know, a gravity system. I'm trying to get you in there, but
I was told going to a gravity, it would knock me down to about 15,000, so,
But you gotta do it yourself.
if I did it myself. Well, that would be with the installed, so if I did it myself, it
Right.
would be cheaper.
And then if you go to a job every day, you don't have time to do that stuff. 'Cause you're down there cracking it for that 15
Yes,
bucks
sir.
an hour.
Is that Wink Road, is that an accepted city road?
No,
don't
I do,
think so.
it's privately owned, I believe, because it's owned by the power company, by, the electric co-op.
Eversource, I believe, is.
New Hampshire.
You're paying rent to them for these?
I don't pay rent to them. There's an easement for it.
Oh,
Passover easement.
my sister-in-law just had a septic system put in. Last week they finished. $49,000
Oh my God.
because of the design. It was a two-step design, and it had to be all accepted by the state.
Don't shake your head.
Not cheap.
No, it's not.
Stay on Shaker Road.
Yeah, okay. I'm on. quiet for a
Okay,
bit.
Jeff, have a seat for a moment. If there are any other questions for Jeff, no? I have to ask if there's any neighbors or residents that would like to speak for or against this matter to come on up.
Yep.
Give us your opinion. Hello, sir.
Hello there, zoning board. Thanks for having me. My name's Lorenzo Trombetta. I live at 28 Wink Road, Meredith, okay?
Yep.
The town line goes right down the road. You get down to the bottom, you have to go left. I'm at the cul-de-sac at the end.
Okay.
I bought my property in 1979. I was the first one down there, okay? They're 5-acre lots, except for the Laconia side. There's Jeff's, and there's another piece of property that's bigger also. I built my own home there. I was the first one down there. I've also built my neighbor's home, who lives right next to me, all right? This is a residential area, okay? This is not a campground area. We do not want a campground. I will say for Jeff, I've known Jeff since he was this tall. All right, I coached him in youth sports. Used to pick him up and break him. He's the same age as my son. Great guy. I have told him, I'm a general contractor in the area, okay? Been here for 40 years in my own business. I told him personally that I will help him do whatever it takes to get this septic system in. But we do not want a campground, all right? I contacted my excavator who does septic systems, Dave Blake. He's, you know, certified and everything, and that's who has gone and spoke to him. I spoke to Dave before I got here. He does have plans for a pump-up system. But Dave seems to think that he can put a gravity-fed system in here for a lot less money. Now, it won't cost 25, and it might cost 15 to have Dave put it in. But like you said, I didn't know people can put their own in. But if he could do it for a lot less.
New Hampshire on your own property.
You can? Okay. So, and that's great. I've also offered Jeff to help shovel, dig, whatever it needs to get him a septic system in there. All right? I have contacts. Like I said, I'm a general contractor. I got plenty of help all the way around. I'd even be willing to help him do fundraisers if that's what it takes to. I'm do that as well for my church. So my thing is, this is residential. My wife walks the dog up and down the street. The street is another issue. Okay, it's been private. I've been plowing that road and maintaining that road, not just personally, they've helped as well, but for 40 years I've plowed that road. Okay, the city never had one plow go down it. So again, like Jeff, great guy. I understand his dilemma. I want to help him, but do not want a campground status, because I know once it's in there,
It's there forever.
it's there forever. Okay, so we are totally against this. And I have three others actually, that could not make it. Matt Coker, who's a state rep for Meredith, he called me. He's against it. He just couldn't make it. He's flying somewhere. He's a pilot. My other neighbor, Bruce Myers, is against it. And Dennis Rowley, who was in a butter, is against it also. I don't have anything on paper, but I'm just letting you know that there are,
Let me just ask, Mr. Tremblay,
yes,
does Eversource maintain the road at all? If they're
No.
ac-
never have.
I thought they were accessing something at the end of the road.
They come down to do work on the poles, and they've changed some poles out recently. And I think
There's
it's the
no
co-op.
power.
I think it's the co-op that owns it, to be
But
honest.
not enough to fix the road up.
Yeah, they don't
It's
do
all
it.
on you, basically.
And again, probably, I think it was 5 years ago, we had the road redone, okay? That's when the other fellow owned the property. And unfortunately, all of us put in a certain amount of money, and the other fellow put some, but minimal, very minimal, did not really help with the road. But aside from that, that's neither here or there.
Very good.
The thing is, we are against the campground, but are willing to help. And again, Jeff is a great guy, but I think once there's a campground status, we're afraid where that's gonna go.
Thank you,
Okay?
Mr.
Thank you very
Tremblay.
much.
Anybody else?
My name's Sean No. I live at 24 Wink Road, property is directly across the street. Larry summed it up perfectly. I'm just up here to support what he said. The road's had a lot of trouble over the years of people living in campers, and we've been to the town a lot in the last 5 years trying to get something to be done about it, and this will only propel that issue of people squatting on property and not having septic systems and running water. And right now we have my neighbor across the street, Ernie Hool. He is living in his camper, doesn't have running water, doesn't have septic. He's crapping outside, right across the street from me. I'm in Meredith. This is in Laconia. It's very upsetting. And I know that the town is on it, and it takes a lot of time, and it's under review, and I've been very, very patient. But this is why we're in the
I
spot
understand
we're
your
in.
concern, Sean.
All right?
Yeah.
Then Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Tim Donahue. I live at 23 Wink Road. I just want to basically repeat what Larry had said. I have nothing against Jeff. As far as I know, he's a great guy. I just don't want the camp status there. We do walk the road every day with our dogs, and It's not something I want there. It wasn't there when I got there, and I don't want to see the change.
It's an unpaved road.
It is paved. We paved it.
Oh,
We
really?
paid for it.
Okay, I just
But
haven't
just
been
the
down
hill,
there for a long
Just the
time.
hill. Just, yeah, it's just partially paved, halfway, maybe a little less than halfway, but just the hill, so when we plow, we can get out.
Thank you, Tim. Anybody else that'd like to come up?
I didn't see Bruce sitting back
Bruce.
Counselor Cheney, how do you do?
I do reasonably well. My name's Bruce Cheney. I'm the counselor for Ward 1, and I'm here tonight to tell you that as a disabled veteran, I have a great deal of feeling for this young man, but two things I would say to you. One, you mentioned, and that is, once this is in, it's in. And two, it was mentioned there's another property there where there's a trailer that doesn't meet any of the requirements, and I'm led to believe that's been referred to the city attorney. We're taking action to try and straighten that problem out. I see this, if it were approved, to fly in the face of what we're trying to do on the property immediately adjacent to it. So I'd ask you to consider rejecting this and try to work with him to help him build something on the property. As a disabled veteran, I can tell you, and I think he knows, that the VA will do a lot to help him if he makes application and explains some of these issues. But please don't start a campground on this property, and don't put us in the position of going after somebody for exactly the same thing and then giving it to someone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Counselor. Ah,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else?
Are there any other residents that would like to speak? Now is not the time to be shy.
Come on, Jim.
Come on up, ma'am, don't be shy.
I'm his mom, and he does not want the campground. He wants residency.
I understand.
That's what he wants. He agrees with everybody sitting back there, everybody that's talked. He agrees with the neighbor that this guy was talking. You know, he does not want a campground. He wants to be able to live. He wants to be able to have something to call residency so he can get help. That's all he wants.
I understand.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your time, ma'am. Are there any other members that would like to speak? Residents, neighbors, people in the next town?
Oh, I'm in the next town.
Come on up.
And I'm Jeffrey's sister, and I just want to make the point that he has tried to get the help from the VA.
Could you state your name?
Angela. And until he has residency on this piece of property, he cannot get help. The VA will not offer him help because it is not his residence. And what he is trying to do is he is paying $700 a month for rent in Belmont. And if he didn't have to pay that $700 a month for rent on top of everything that he
I
is paying
understand.
for,
Yeah.
that is $8,400 a year. That is half of what Larry or whoever said
For the
would
septic
be
system,
his
yes.
septic.
Okay. Thank you, Angela. I'll close the public meeting now, unless there's anybody else who'd like to talk at 7:57.
So we're kind of at a place, really what he's asking for is outside the purview of our board. This is not, I mean, we all have sympathy for what the guy's going through. So I was just looking at campground stuff, and he doesn't want a campground. The neighbors don't want a campground.
And we denied a campground on the other
Yeah,
side
exactly,
of
exactly. And
the pond already.
For all of the reasons that we've already said. Matter of fact, I don't even think that because it is a private road, I don't even think that they could do it. But either way, I really think that his only remedy is to go to the city council. Could the city council make a special something with all of these facts possibly? But everything about this is outside of our board.
Now, I'm curious because I know I had some dear friends right down on 106, put their camper in, build their house, and now there's a house.
Yep, the ordinance states that campers should be stored on your property in the rear and shall be not used for housekeeping purposes.
Yeah, it's pretty specific. It really is.
It was
And-
written long.
And it's set up, it's set up that way just because of the guy that they were describing across the street, exactly for that reason. And it's pretty,
That gentleman is unpermitted on everything.
oh, for sure.
On all
Yeah,
aspects of the
for sure,
property.
for sure.
And the state has known about him
Yeah,
for,
yeah, right on.
I believe, 3 years now.
The state allows camping at their park and ride, so I really doubt the state's gonna do anything. But anyway,
Is it possible to grant it for a limited time?
I don't know that answer.
it's outside of our purview, Mike. I think it has to be something that goes to the
And I
city
don't
council.
think you wanna do it as a campground, cause
Yeah,
once you have the
It's not
campground,
about-
Exactly.
then your buddy who's having hard times is there, and then your buddy's buddy is in the other one, and then his Chevy Nova's in the back.
I like your thought about seeking an alternative to.
24 months and it expires.
For 1 year with a review, just like we
Now,
do.
it's like, do we have to change it forever? Can it just be changed for a temporary basis?
Then
Get
without
him
having the solid
somehow.
answer,
Yeah.
I don't.
$700 is a bargain for an apartment, by the way. It'd be a shame to give it up.
No, if, I really,
Probably so.
Mike, I really think that it would be the city council, maybe the city council could say, okay, you own this property, you don't live on it, let's go ahead and put your driver's license at that number, right? Or, again, I don't know how that would all work, but the city council can say, we are giving you your residence because it is your property.
But you need a certificate of occupancy to be
Yeah. I'm just
in
telling
the
you,
residence.
everything about this is just outside of our purview. I mean, we have sympathy for the guy for sure, but I
Yeah.
don't think that there's anything in zoning that we can do to give him what he wants.
And I don't think I would support the campground.
Yeah, I'm a no on the
We've
campground.
already unsupported
Yeah.
a campground on the same, in the same watershed.
Yeah, I'm a no on the campground as well. I think what we need to do is deny the application as written, because we can't, well,
What can we do?
but maybe there's something that we can do to push him forward to the city council to get them to move on something soon.
I would like somebody to make a proposal that we give them a temporary permit for a campground.
I don't know that we can do
I don't
that.
think we can.
Why not?
I would ask a
We can do
lawyer.
what we want.
Yeah, I
We are
think
the
then you
board.
have to go to your lawyer.
I would
Because I don't
legal-
think you can do that, and I can't support that for
Yeah.
the same reason. What's temporary?
Yeah.
I've had to deal with these things, and once they're in,
Yeah,
they're in.
Yep.
And once you got one, you
Not
get 12.
necessarily.
It's the way the world works.
yeah.
And
I mean,
Mike,
I would say no to the campground because of the road, and because of the size, and because of the,
But
public
it's
interest.
not gonna be a KOA with everybody coming in there with their trailers.
But
every
it's
weekend.
still the slippery slope.
Could
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
I think I would,
We're putting a sling on something that needs a Band-Aid.
Does Dick
Because we don't have
Cheney-
Band-Aids.
Does Bruce Cheney have a recommendation? He's on the council.
we don't know that.
Wow.
Recommendation was to deny.
Jeff, you wanted to say something else?
I was trying to listen to what you guys were saying, I couldn't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What if he just takes, Scott, can he just withdraw instead of us going through all
At
this?
this point, no. You
Okay,
can't
fair enough then.
once
Okay, 'cause we're-
staff
We've
starts
already
Understood.
their
Okay, fair point.
fact-finding,
Okay, good.
Either that, or we have one other solution. We could give him the special exception for a single-family home.
He doesn't need one, he can
Yeah.
build one there.
Yep, you can build one there.
He doesn't need
by
a
right.
special
That's what we
exception,
need.
by right, he can build there.
Then he doesn't need us.
He needs a septic system.
He needs
That's
a
what
septic
needs.
system is what he needs.
Yeah.
Live there. So,
And he could live out of a holding tank until the septic system
so Roland,
installed.
what the discussion is that he can't get the services he wants
Right.
either through the VA or through the state until he has a residence.
Yeah.
And he can't get the residence until he has a physical infrastructure to be able to be there. So we're at a catch-22.
Scott, I got another question for you.
Yes.
What if he fixed up the loft and had a holding tank that gets pumped out?
They just told you they can't use the holding tank, state isn't for
A
that.
camper could use a holding tank, but
It's in the camper, it's not a separate holding
doesn't sound
tank.
fair.
I
No.
believe on the loft portion, that Mr. Trent would have to talk to the building code side to see if that allowance would be given. You know, if they're gonna allow him to stay in the loft,
That would
depending
be
on.
a solution that everybody could live with, if he had, because I know, like, my buddy is in the septic business, and he, you know, he does like 10 pump outs every day, and, you know, they could go by Wink Road once every 2 months and pump it out.
But that's not what
And that would be a
is
solution
allowed on
to
a long
the-
time thing. You could park
We
your
don't have to
camper
remove a
inside of it.
campground.
I don't think we can solve the problem. I think there's more things that have to be answered, but I don't think I'd support a campground in there because I've already been through a process of
Right.
denying another one. So on that there, with great
That's where I am as
regrets.
well.
I don't recall the other campground that you're referring to.
Oh, it was 100 acres off of 106 that backed up on Pickerel,
Why do we deny it?
because the neighbors didn't want it.
Of course they don't.
So we're right here again.
It's quite residential.
Yeah.
Well, also, when you look at the fact that if, on this application, if you look at, you have to go through the criteria, which is on page 134,
In the findings of fact,
and when you go through the finding of facts, there is no information at all to answer questions 2 through 6. They're all unknown. So without any information to answer those questions, I can't possibly
Sure.
abide by giving a special exception.
Page 134?
Page 134.
134.
You are looking at Article 11, Section 235-70, C, A, sub A, sub B.
134? No, that's 134.
Yeah.
Wrong way.
134.
Just below where it says short-term leasing, and then it says for all other special exceptions. And then it lists all the criteria. And I just don't have any information to address them.
I know, I just feel awful.
So for that reason, I wouldn't support the application.
I want to get him out of this dilemma into the property. With 9+ acres,
I think you
who
just
would
need,
even know he lives there?
don't even be like that. But you could put a camper inside of the
Garage.
garage and whatever.
Yes. go
I'm
ahead.
trying to avoid what Ernest Hool, whatever his name
The
is.
guy- the bad guy's doing.
17 Wink
I
Road
understand.
did. I'm
Trying
trying
to do it right.
because he owned the property that I have,
Yeah.
like prior
Uh-huh.
to Jeff Burrows that passed away and left me the property. So, like, I understand what everybody says about everything and the mess. And I mean, he's been caught digging in Pickerel Pond and everything. So I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
And I'm just, that's why I'm here, because no matter what, I want to do it the right way.
Thank you.
And I don't want to just release everything. I just want to do it the right way. Sorry.
Okay.
Don't be sorry.
Are outhouses not allowed?
Outhouses, porta potties?
Well,
No,
in the old days.
In-ground privies.
Yeah. You could.
You had a little wooden
If I was
box.
developing a lot, I could hire a porta potty. If I was, a lot of developers do that at their job sites. They place a porta potty while they're working.
But that's
But you
not.
still
but
don't have
it's-
gray water, you don't have washing, you don't have,
It's not gonna give them a CO.
Yeah.
No.
he
No,
just needs
porta
that
potty won't get.
residential status.
I have an Incinerator toilet at the garage.
yeah.
And I've talked to waste disposal, and you're allowed to, as soon as it's incinerated, it can go into a trash bag and be disposed as solid waste.
But it still doesn't get you an address there.
It still doesn't give me the gray water either, because gray water in the state of New Hampshire is considered septic, so it cannot be just released anymore.
Very good.
That's where,
No 55-gallon bucket in the backyard anymore.
All right.
Mike, it's just outside of our purview.
Yeah, I think
He's gotta
I'd
go,
have to.
he has to go somewhere else, and maybe we can help him with that, but right here, we can't approve this for both of the logistical reasons and then also what Marcia said about the exceptions.
He's between a rock and a hard
Not the
I'll
exceptions,
entertain a motion.
the
The
requirements.
criteria.
Criteria, thank you.
The criteria for the special exception, there just isn't any information to address it. The criteria.
All right.
Get them in that property.
I hate that.
Well, I don't think that's our job
I don't
to
think it's
do.
our job, Michael.
It's not the
not our
zoning
job.
board's job. If it's your job, fine, but it's not the zoning board's
Yep,
job.
you can.
You're right.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we all agree with you. We'd love to see it happen.
So let's link them with that, but right now we
we're
have this
dealing
before
with
us.
this application.
I'll
and-
entertain a motion for the application.
Oh, I'll do it. I will like to deny application ZB 0025-005, 15 Wink Road, which is seeking a special exception from Article 11, Section 235, 70C, subsection 2, subsection B. And with this special exception, number one, yes, the request is permitted by special exception. However, criterias 2 through 6, there is insufficient information to address those criteria, and for that reason, I offer denial.
Thank you for your motion. We have a motion.
Second?
Richard has seconded it. Further discussion? I feel horrible
I do too, but
for
we
Jeff.
can't.
I
It's,
want to see him get on that property.
it's not our job.
All in favor of the motion?
Deny.
I will abstain, Scott, from voting.
Okay,
I can't vote against him. I'm sorry.
gotcha, yep.
I'm sorry, Jeff. Get your friends together and put a septic system in. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, is there another avenue that we can seek?
City
You know,
council.
do we go to another board, another council, council members? I mean, there's gotta be a way that we can get around. I know it's a zoning issue,
I
but
would like to see him get a temporary permit for a campground that expires in
Campground.
24
You
months.
Honestly-
But that's the only way he could get a septic
No,
system.
it's not true.
that's what I'm saying. I think the temporary thing, okay, I'm sorry.
You could stop by tomorrow, talk to the city manager, Kirk Biotti,
Okay, we can give temporary
tell him
permit.
He's not asking for that, or we're not offering that.
Best laid course. He'll give his input,
Yeah.
and perhaps something can germinate from that.
Yeah, it's almost like we need to change the law a little bit, maybe. I mean, that might be going too far, but I think that you have good intentions with the temporary thing, but then we're back here again in a year later, fighting because now they want to make it permanent or whatever comes.
Well,
So
yeah.
we just don't like the whole idea of the camp. I think I'll do anything in my power to help him to find an alternative way around this somehow.
Thank you, Larry.
So, all right, thank
For
you
the
very much.
benefits of the
Actually,
neighborhood.
This is the solution right here.
Exactly.
So come deal with the city council, but this is the
I had a
solution. here.
gavel now.
You will next time.
You can bang your head.
Okay, moving right along.
Jefferson Street.
66 Jefferson Street.
Oh, they want to put a front porch on.
Yes. Except we don't have a diagram of
But
the.
they want to
Yeah,
make
they
it
do.
a
They
camp.
gave you
Is
an
66
updated one.
Jefferson here?
They want to make it
A
a
new
campground
Oh,
diagram.
first,
is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
but they want to make it a campground first.
Because I went by it today.
I hope.
Hi, folks.
Hi, everybody.
How can we help you?
Well, my name is Scott Ringer, is my wife Laura Ringer, and we're the owners of 66 Jefferson. We're requesting a variance for a porch on our front yard. The proposed porch will be about
Folks, if you
32.
could take your conversation outside, please. Folks, in the back. Folks in the back, if you could take,
Thank you, Richard.
And anybody.
Scott, stand up and tell them to go outside.
Bye,
You're
Janet.
the boss.
no, you're the boss.
You're the boss. You got a whistle.
He's getting paid to be here.
I can talk louder.
Just give us a moment, Mr. Ringer.
Folks, if you could take your conversation out into the hall, please. Thank you.
He's throwing the counselor out now.
You're gonna get one of my tickets.
All set, Michael?
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
You are the paid employee, so it is your job to get him outside. Go ahead, Mr. Ringer, tell us what you want to do there.
Okay, the proposed porch will be 8 foot by 20 foot. It'll be a brown composite decking with white railings. It'll be 32 feet from the existing road, 24 feet from the sidewalk. There's many reasons why we want to do this, but two of the biggest reasons is Laura's mom is going to be 92 years old, doing great, but we have very steep steps, and she can't get into the house too easily now. So we have to start looking at handicap access for her. And that's the only place we can actually put handicap access. And second of all, because the stairs are so steep, if somebody comes to our door, they have to go all the way down the steps in order for us to open the door to let them in.
I see.
Yeah, there's no landing.
No. And it's very awkward.
And you said 20, on your plan here, it says, oh, that's the size of the deck, it's 20 by 8.
Yeah.
And you're 24 feet from the road?
No, 32 feet from the road, 24 feet from the sidewalk.
What's required?
It's 25 feet
25.
from the front property line, which should be the orange line where your thumb is, Mike.
It's 25 feet?
Yep, in the
And
R-
they're-
From
in
the
the
front.
RS, front setbacks are 25, I know, because I have two
They're
of
at
them.
24 feet.
That's from the sidewalk.
Yeah, when
So-
I,
That was our conundrum too, that,
So from here.
I measured
this
from
point,
the
Right.
yellow
25.
line, your,
One
your,
inch equals
what you
20.
wanted, and you still,
Here, you're still over by
you're
the-
still 22 feet, and you're, and the requirement is
It's
25
not
feet.
much,
It's
it's like
3
a
feet.
foot.
For goodness sake, it's 3 feet.
for a foot?
we'll make it pretty.
Yeah,
We've been there
yeah,
before.
it's
If you
minimal.
pass this variance.
And it will look
Yeah.
nice on the house.
Yeah,
Pardon?
It would look nice on the house.
it will.
Oh, it would, and
Nice.
plus,
It would.
Yeah.
I mean, I drove by
Access.
it today.
and plus we're putting out new landscaping in the front too, so.
Yeah.
Is there any questions for these folks? Anybody else?
No, I drove
No.
by
Have a
today.
seat, Mr. Ringer, and we
Okay,
will
thank you.
Thank you.
ask if there's any neighbors, friends, relatives, or residents that would like to speak on the matter. No takers? Okay. They're only going, like, asking for
I
2
know.
feet.
I know.
No,
It's
Let's let it
minimal.
go.
It's like
I'll
minimal.
seek a motion.
So on the road, there are a number of pre-existing, non-conforming structures, whether it be houses or decks that are in place. It is not anything that is obtuse for the road.
I'll seek a motion to approve.
I can do it.
Thank you, Jane.
I make a motion to approve application number ZB 2025-006. The variance is requested from Article 6, Section 235-35A because of the front setback. Granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because placement of the deck would improve the aesthetics of the house as well as provide access for a potential ramp in the future. If the variance were granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed because the deck structure would only be encroaching 5 feet to meet the pre-existing walkway. Granting the variance would do substantial justice because this would allow safer access to the house. And the variance were granted, the values of the surrounding properties would not be diminished.
Thank you, Jane. We have a motion?
Second?
Thank you, Marcia. Any further discussion? I'm all in favor? All?
Aye.
Thank you. Good luck on the deck, folks. Thanks for sitting through all our lovely meeting here tonight.
I did have some questions there.
Oh,
I
you
guess.
did?
You said
Yeah, I guess so.
What would,
These guys were just here a couple months
We
ago.
have-
Snooze you lose there,
I
Mike.
know.
2426 Winter Street.
Closes
Oh,
the
it's
deck
on the
or
road.
open.
Adjacent property to the one that was here last
Yes, last month.
Putting a deck on with a rail.
Hi, folks.
Hello again. How you doing? Thank you guys for having us again. I think so we were here last month for 30 Winter Street. We're approved for that.
Oh, I know what it is. Okay.
Variance. So this is about the property next door. My name is Haunton Shea. I manage 2426 Winter. This is Nick King. He helps me with all the zoning and architecture stuff. The backstory to this is that we acquired the building in May as a 3-unit building. What we do is we take distressed properties and try to improve them, and we hold them, we don't sell them, and we offer them as long-term renters. We don't do any of the short-term stuff. We want to make a beautiful place for people to call home. So we knew of this basement unit that was in disrepair. And we do things above board, so we applied for a building permit to renovate the basement unit. And we did get a denial, because apparently, and I wasn't aware of this, even though the tax card has shown that it's been a 3-unit building since 2010, that the building department does not show it as a 3-unit building. Wasn't aware of that, so we're here today to you know,
It's
ask
three
for your review, and hopefully you can stamp that it is a 3-unit, or could be a 3-unit building as it's been used for the past, 14 years. Nick can go over all the details about parking, and we're not looking to expand the footprint or anything, just renovate the basement.
And it's already a 3-unit.
Well,
No, it's not
it has been
listed.
used as a 3-unit. It has been assessed as a 3-unit since 2010, but the building department does not see it as a 3-unit building.
So we just want to make it legal.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we're effectively trying to rectify 15 years of unlawful use. of
Pre-existing
the- Yeah,
non-conformance. Yeah.
right.
There you go.
They have enough space for 3 units?
But they've got 2 applications here.
One's for the special exception.
One is for being a multifamily, and then the second one is for the density.
Density.
Density, yeah.
Yeah. Density
So you
requirement,
gotta pick it up one at a time?
yeah.
Special exception should technically go first and then
Yeah.
the
It is a
density
sizable
if allowed.
I'm looking at your first application for the special exception.
Sure.
And to make it multifamily. And I'm looking at your answer for letter B. It says the lot currently has space for more than the required 4.5 parking spaces. The lot additionally has 2 driveways which will ease congestion at the street. Gentlemen, I've walked that property. I don't know where in God's name you've got space for 4.5 parking spaces, so could you explain that to me? How do you plan to park?
There's a drive on either side.
I know
of
there's a
that.
drive on either side.
And one of them stretches the full depth of the property.
Yeah.
Which is about 100 feet, which is more than enough for at least 4 spaces.
How, that driveway is narrow, so how do you get, if you
It's
park
no
a
more
car?
narrow than a parking spot.
But aren't you going to have a car parked off to the side and another car go past it in
It
order
would
to
be
park?
in tandem.
In tandem?
Yep.
So, do you have room to park the car and go past it so that you can swing over and get in tandem? That driveway looks,
It's really narrow.
it's very narrow.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I know you're saying tandem like this, but in order to get here, you've got to swing around to get in front of it. And I don't see how you can have room for 2 cars to move in that driveway.
I don't think we were intending that a car would drive around it. It's really just a piggyback situation where there'd be shuffling cars around. So if somebody had to move, say it's a husband and wife with 2 cars, that one would pull out, the other would pull in, that type of situation.
Oh, my gosh.
So, we're not speaking amongst the board, right?
Not yet.
No, we're asking
right.
questions.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Is the nature of the board's purview quantity, or is it also how the spaces are used?
Well, we don't count spaces where the husband and wife situation, you have to move one as a parking space. You know, it has to be a free parking space that you could drive any car in at any time and park.
Well, if I could correct you, Michael, it's not our purview to define parking, that's the planning board's. Ours is land
It's
use
right
only.
here. What do you mean it's not our purview?
But not for the application. because
No,
you're
no,
looking at
it's-
a
it's-
density application.
I'm just saying, it's not our job to define
But
parking.
we have to talk about parking to approve density.
Absolutely. To me, you have to understand parking before I can approve the density, which is why I asked you the order in which this was coming forth.
But again, you're only voting on multifamily and density here. Parking, like Richard had said, would be a planning board effect that once it makes it to planning board, that question would be answered as well, and it could catapult it back down here for another variance, or there's also other accommodations within the ordinance that would allow potential off-site parking.
All I'm saying, Marcia, is that it's not,
I see
think
your point,
it's one of these places where coming to this board, it's kind of before, because they could get to planning, and planning says you don't have room for parking. You do not have enough room for parking, and they will deny the the fulfillment of this process here, but it's not in our purview to define parking.
I disagree.
Okay,
I
that's fair.
see that we could accept and say, yes, it could be multifamily. The neighborhood has I'm sorry, we're in a discussion here.
Yep.
And we probably should address our questions here.
There you go.
So my biggest question, when I look at the property, and I've walked the property,
Yep.
and you got Jewett Brook behind you and everything, and you've gotta have green space, I just don't get the parking. I just don't get it.
I-
So if you can ease my mind on that.
I think the biggest point that I would like to drive home is the building has existed in this fashion for 15 years and has gone relatively unnoticed in terms of conflicts caused by the nature of how the property has been.
Mhm.
We're genuinely trying to improve the conditions of, especially living conditions, because it was quite treacherous in its existing condition. And should there have been a long history of concerns related to parking and shuffling of cars or whatever it might be, of course, that would have hold some water.
I appreciate you wanting to improve the neighborhood. I commend you for that, and I thank you for that. But I still look at the requirements as they exist today.
Sure.
Just because something was done irresponsibly in the past,
Yep.
doesn't mean that I have to accept that that's where we're gonna continue to go, because that's the way it
Sure.
was done in the past.
Is there a
So-
portion of the code that defines the nature of how the parking, or do we just have to meet the quantity?
Yeah, there
There
is
is.
Okay.
definement on the space allowance for single spots, stacked parking,
Yep.
angled parking, so it is all spelled out within the
Okay.
ordinance.
Do you have a code or a chapter I could reference just for
Yeah,
my
there-
own?
I think it's more on a table.
Well, if you're multifamily, you have to have 1.5 per dwelling unit.
Yep,
So
we
you're gonna
need
have
quantity.
3. And then there is this diagram.
Should even need 5 spaces for 3.
That's right, you have to go up to
Means
5.
Yeah.
And so then if you have to have, so there is,
Winter Street has a lot of.
there is this picture, which is one of the things that you can look at.
This building is a.
Thanks, Marcia. Can I
You're
give this back
welcome.
to you?
I saw it when I was looking at this building.
Right, the one next door. Same people are doing that one.
Why couldn't they drive in and park?
This one
this is
is
on
the
side.
standard.
Yep.
Yep, so like if you're looking 9x19 is
Yep,
usually
yep.
what we look
It's
for
not.
there for a single spot.
It's right on the brook.
Does it define how we have to get to the spots, though? I could understand it in a
Doesn't-
parking lot,
doesn't,
right, where it
because when
says
it
at a
starts
certain
talking
angle, you
about-
have to meet certain requirements.
Yeah, for like.
But in
the
a
aisleway.
driveway, where do you point the finger to?
Oh,
Mark.
let's see here.
Can you park anything in the back of the building?
I guess in theory, you could come around, if you drove the length of the driveway on the left side, there's probably enough space for, I would think, 3 cars.
I mean, we could technically make it a U shape if we
Yeah,
really
it
wanted
could
to.
also be a
I mean, it's not
drive-through.
But then you
Is
have
that
to
a
then we
look,
have the green
shed in the
space.
other, in the way of the other driveway? It looks
The
like there's a
shed.
building there.
There's no shed there anymore. There is a shed that was on the plans, but when we acquired the building, there was no shed there.
Because they,
We're wondering about
a U-shaped
this
with angled
building
parking.
here. Is that
That
gone?
no longer exists, that
Okay.
one at the top right of them.
Okay, yeah, I think that used to be a shed of some sort.
Yeah.
how wide is that driveway? They're the same on both sides.
I believe it's about 12 feet wide.
Yeah, we have a dumpster there right now, so the truck can actually, the dumpster that delivers the roll-off can back up and roll the dumpster.
But that's all you can get is that it's,
Yes, single lane. We're
It's
not
single
driving,
lane.
we're not driving
Yeah.
around the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't
Right.
do that.
But I would argue that in most driveways, they don't frequently have enough space for 2 cars side by side to.
that's true. But you're not looking at a home you're looking at 3 units.
That's fair.
Yes.
Are each of these units single-family units? And not single-family, single-bedroom units? Some of these discussions in units have come down to bedrooms in some of these housing constructs.
I look at it as housing models, so if you're single family, you would, I believe the chart says 1, if you're multifamily, it's 1.5. I don't go into the bedroom.
All right,
factor
that's fine.
of it.
No, it's,
I've not seen that yet, so if I'm missing it, I'll take a lens tomorrow, I'll look.
It's
at the
just
buildings.
one that we had here, and they were looking for a variance, and it wasn't going to be a family, it was going to be a group of single people, so each bedroom became a call for a car.
That's like a $12,000.
But then they had they asked for a variance on the parking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, guys.
We could also potentially, there's a garden planter that's quite in disarray at the front of the building. We could remove that. It's about the exact size as a parking space for
I'd
Or they
rather,
can park on the front.
Once they get, if by chance they make it to the multifamily portion of the planning board, I believe they can seek a CUP for off-site parking. There's a municipal lot
That's true.
over across from Winter
Are
Street
we
on
within
the other
range
side.
for that?
Huh?
Are we within the appropriate
I
range?
believe so, I
Okay.
believe it's 1,000 feet. I could double check that
Okay.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
look into that,
That would be a good solution for you.
yeah.
Yeah, we'd be happy to
Whether
explore
it's
that.
one car, and who knows, the state could change values rather quickly here, and we could be looking at a different amount.
But right now, this is what we're looking
Yeah,
at.
currently, yes, these are
Yeah.
the values in question.
Yeah.
Would you be more open to the idea if we created a continuous loop or if there was parking directly in the rear of the property?
But then you gotta be careful of your green space, right?
yeah,
Right. Unless the paving is pervious
Right.
or
you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
replace it all with gravel.
Do
with angled
impervious
parking
pavers
in the
and-
back,
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the exact reason why
I still
this
don't see
goes
5
to
spots.
planning, is because they put all those things, and, you know, it's good for us to be aware of it and to know this process, but at the end of the day, if we approve it or disapprove it, it doesn't matter, the parking is going to be.
Then why bother to come to zoning? Why even bother to have a zoning board then?
No, I'm just saying, for this particular thing right here, where there is, I think that the cart is before the horse, where they should get some relief or some approval from planning before they come to us. This is one of those places.
But
There's always
normal
solutions for parking.
procedure requires us to come here first,
That's
right?
Oh, no, that's what I'm
okay,
saying.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm agreeing with that, I'm just saying that we're talking
That
about
would've made
parking,
more sense, yeah.
and it's just not our job, in my opinion.
Well, all I know is that I'm looking at the density requirement, and I cannot look at that density application without looking at parking.
There's always solutions for parking, always.
Well, right now, are not asking for a variance on parking either, so if they wanted to ask for a variance, then I'm a little bit more open-minded about it. But right now, there is no variance for that.
But we're not gonna know that until planning says they need one.
And we didn't seek a variance because we were under the impression we had 7 spaces. So we were under the impression that we met the qualifications because, from what I can tell, we don't have a clear description as to the nature of the parking. It's mostly
Yep.
about the quantity of parking.
Yeah, and that's the tough
That's
part
fair-
too,
that's
like if they
fair
come in claiming they have 7,
Yep.
how am I to make an argument when we only need 4.5, round
Right.
that up to 5? If they're claiming they have 7, then I'm a moot point at that.
Right. So one thing that maybe the board could consider is that you could deny this without prejudice, which again means you come back, only have a better plan.
Or another one, you could approve the multifamily but table the density
Table
for
the
further
density,
discussion.
yeah.
Which
Could
would
do that
still
too.
keep it in an open status,
Yep.
allowing them to
Yep.
figure out their parking.
Yep.
as
Because
we-
I could get there because I know I can know one that had no parking. And it was
Yep.
considered a moot point because it was within walking distance, not so far away from these neighborhoods.
And that would give me time to check to see how close they are to that municipal lot, if it's even a thing. So next month they come back, if they're 800 feet and they wanna go for the CUP with planning, then at that point, we could untable it with the confidence that they're gonna have some off-site, they're gonna have some on-site. But until I get that, I won't know for sure.
Is there a process that gets us in front of planning board, as he mentioned, that might be a better,
You could do a conceptual
okay,
application, so they don't accept it, they view it to look at it for value
Sure.
on their part, on your part.
yep,
TRC, is that TRC?
No, that's prior.
Okay.
That's at an actual planning board meeting, they do the conceptual. Then if planning board says, hey, we're receptive to this, then they would seek an official submittal, which would catapult them to TRC.
So you have to, so you can get a conceptual, but you're still gonna have to come to this board for that approval.
Right, but that gives us something
Oh, for sure.
that answers maybe
Right.
some questions,
Now,
should that.
now,
need to
something
be-
else I think you're gonna have to look at, I'm looking at the GIS of Laconia, and I show that there, on the left-hand side of that property, there's a right-of-way that goes through.
They own both properties.
Well, I'm just saying, just check it out, because I'm looking at,
Yeah, that's the easement that goes to the Roman Catholic Church over the
Okay.
river,
yeah,
and he is currently the owner of the whole easement.
okay, fair enough then. I'm just, I saw that just because if that was an easement or right-of-way, then I don't
Right.
think that you'd be allowed to park on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like
So are you
a
gonna-
hundred
are
and
It would be a
something
no
years old.
structure, but you could park.
So are they going to remove that right-of-way?
I'm not sure
We're-
if.
You
he-
may
if he's
have to
the
do
true
that.
owner of the whole
You may
thing
have
now,
to do
would
that
be-
in order,
So,
for you to sit.
yes,
This-
there is an easement. The easement says
Yep.
that we can't permanently produce, put a structure to block that right away.
Right, but
Um,
parking is a blocking.
But it's not permanent.
I'm just saying, just check into it.
Yeah.
Yes, all right,
Yeah, I would
bring it up.
check into it, cause I've had roads which are right of way, and when the people started parking on the road and it blocked my access to property, then
We can look at it. We have a easement termination that we're submitting to
Perfect,
get rid of the easement anyway, because
It should be on
it's
your
not used
deed as
by.
well.
Yes,
It
we're
should
not,
be.
nobody's using it.
I'm just
There's actually a
bringing-
fence there anyway, so nobody can use it if they wanted to,
Yeah.
so.
I'm just bringing it up because it may be a thing.
Mhm.
So is the question, are we still moving forward with one versus the other?
So Mike, do we want to take a look at the first one, the special exception on multifamily first?
Yeah,
How about if they sit down, ask for public comment, and then we can talk? Not that we haven't been.
go
doing
ahead,
that
have a
yet.
seat, fellas. I do have to ask if there's any residents, neighbors, friends, or family who would like to speak on this matter.
They're so quiet.
Yeah, one person, huh?
She's with them.
I
Um,
know.
Oh,
Well, I was
So
kidding.
let's,
I was kidding.
how do we get these guys happy and get the neighborhood
Well,
improved?
I wouldn't be opposed to granting the multi-family
Yep.
aspect of it. It's just the next one I'm not going to be happy with. But this one I don't mind approving.
Scott, which one would be, if we were to approve one that could get them before planning, which one would that be? Would make more sense? 'Cause it would be the variance, not the exception, correct? I'm asking.
I believe they still could go in front of planning without, say if you tabled both of these. They
Okay.
could still ask to do a conceptual,
Conceptual, yeah.
and all they would have to say is, hey, we have two applications
yeah.
tabled in zoning,
Right.
but, I mean, whatever they get from planning,
Yeah.
would probably migrate back down here in the form of a note.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah.
you wouldn't get anything compelling from planning board to say, other
Mhm.
than they've seen it, and
They're open, at least, we think that this can work in some form. Right.
Okay.
So,
I'm thinking that we could approve the multifamily and table the 1 to 3 unit density.
The density one?
And then wait
that would
for,
allow us to untable it next month
Yep.
with more findings of fact by
Yep, perfect.
myself,
Yep.
the property owners, and planning will probably jump in as well to say, okay, let's look at the parking schematics here. Even if I have to migrate out to take some measurements myself, we can bring back that information to the board next month to say, here's what we found.
I just,
I'm a
is there a
fan.
stairway to get into the cellar without going through the house?
It's a walk.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a walkout.
Out in the back, okay.
I'm in favor of just there's 3 units, keep it there. It's been used that way. It's pre-existing, non-conforming. And there has been no judgment, or that we don't have any information that there's been any problem with it in the past. With the 3-unitness of it. Does that make sense to you, Scott? So approving the exception, the special exception for multifamily,
Yeah,
and then tabling density.
that would allow them the use
Mm-hmm.
as it's been used.
Yep.
And that would allow us to further
Okay.
carve into the density asked to
Yep.
verify any parking
Yep, perfect.
concerns the board has.
That makes sense to us all?
I'll seek a motion for item 16, special exception to change it to a multifamily use.
I make a motion to approve or accept special exception 2025-007. The requested use is authorized. The requested use will not create undue traffic congestion any more than it has already been doing. The requested use will not overload city systems. The requested use will not create excessive demand for municipal services. And the special exception, no, I'm complete. That's it.
We have a motion.
Second?
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Do we have to make a motion to table
Yeah,
Yep.
item
yep.
17?
Is it a motion or
I just kind of like somebody makes a motion, somebody can second and just vote that this will be tabled until
Okay.
the September 16th meeting, I believe it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you say it like that, we won't, you
Right.
know, it'll allow us to publicly announce it. That way we don't have to send out more butter letters. Anybody that was notified, plan on coming out next month for the density.
next month is okay with you guys?
Very good.
So,
that motion.
Richard, are you gonna make that motion then?
Sure, I make a motion that,
A few questions.
Yeah.
Should we come to the conclusion, whether it's with this board or planning board, that we need to seek other variances for the property, whether it's parking, green space, or something else?
I think
What's the process?
I believe or myself, you, and the owner could find out as soon as tomorrow on the parking aspect.
Okay.
I could come down, we can look at some of your ideas, measure some spots, see what you have, what you don't have, and then that'll tell us which direction we should really go. And then if we need to use that CUP for across the way, we can entertain that as well.
I asked mostly because you mentioned not having to send things out to abutters again. I didn't know if adding a tick to some extra variance would require that due diligence for.
No, because we're just untabling it. This was the only thing that we needed clarity on. So,
Even if we have to seek an additional variance for some other portion.
right,
of the-
say if you get to
Okay.
planning board and something is found then we may have to read this. But as for now with this, you have a density application that's tabled at the zoning board level. We've announced this via YouTube. Any abutters should, if they are inclined, they're familiar with the work you're doing, they should come out.
I make a motion that we table variance application 2025-008 until the September,
I believe
16th.
it's the 16th.
It is the 16th.
Thank you, Richard. We have a motion.
Second?
Thank you. All, no discussion, favor?
Aye.
Thank you. See you next month, fellas.
You want to, just give me a shout first thing in the morning.
We're gonna be here for technical review.
They seem like nice people, they weren't really.
See how that goes.
They can create it so they can go around.
to table a variance.
No.
Not for municipal. But.
Without doing the variance first. Scott,
Gotta have them
Scott,
both together. You can't have the apartments without the parking, you don't need the parking
No,
without
we
the
need to
apartments.
talk more.
Okay.
the man said we could do it.
We gotta wait till we're
Man's the man.
done with the private conversation.
Up Goshen.
Wrap it up with them, and definitely I will see you first thing in the morning. And,
Larry Trombetta actually
we got
went
one
to their
approval,
house.
one table.
He was gonna be
We'll
giving
see,
us a vote.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if he ever
Anything's
showed
better
up or
than
didn't got back to her. I think
All right,
that's
thank you.
For lunchroom?
Larry Trombetta is a good friend of Sue Smiley's. And Larry Trombetta built my window boxes, which are
gonna outlast my house.
Okay, other business.
There isn't any.
There's
Any
no other
other
business?
business
No, it's over,
before the
Michael.
board that anybody would like to discuss?
Yes.
Any,
I just want to thank you all. Everybody helps me run this meeting. And thank you, Richard, Marcia, Jane, Roland, Mike, Scott especially.
And Scott.
I thank you all. Without you, I wouldn't be able to function
And
as the
Samantha.
chair. I feel bad about the campground. I don't know why we can't do a temporary
There's no temporary.
24 months.
There's no temporary campground.
We did it for Tower Hill with Senegate on his, we gave him a temporary 6 months. He could open till 2 o'clock. Remember?
That wasn't from zoning.
That was planning board, yeah. Okay.
That was,
I get
So-
confused.
Yeah.
A couple of items that I had, I know that our wonderful and illustrious member Roland is coming to the end of his term, so it'll be up to Roland if he, when and how he wants to end his time with the zoning board, but I
You're gonna quit?
think eventually
don't throw them out.
that,
leave 'em alone.
you know, having Richard tonight as a voting member, I had that, I was at breakfast this morning, I'm like, I should ask Michael tonight to see if he wants to propel Richard to a voting member.
Say
So-
your last name, Richard.
It's Bodie. Thank you all. No, it's Brody.
No, it's
No,
not, it's
don't
Bodie.
listen to him.
Listen
Oh,
to him.
Body.
Like the
No,
skier?
no, like body. Like a truck body?
Yeah?
I'm just kidding, Mike. I'm messing with you right now. It's Bodie. It's Scottish.
Like the skier?
Like the skier, Bodie Miller. Exactly.
So,
Okay.
but other than that,
I remember now.
from the
You like
board
that, Mike?
level,
Like that?
again, amazing job
Who's to
tonight.
say,
You
I-
guys have a tough job to look at all this stuff and digest it in a short period. So I give you all the kudos in the world because, you know, the applicants need you as well. You know, their dream doesn't go forward without you guys, so. And, you know, as you see tonight, sometimes we can't make everything happen, so. You did great, and that's all I got.
Thank you.
Now can you officially adjourn the meeting?
A motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Let me find my cursor here.
We didn't do bad considering the agenda.
Oh, my
I mean, there was a lot.
I know. I still think we should
I
have.
thought we were gonna be here till 10:30.